I don't know how well you can see this from where I'm standing, but in about the center of your screen, at the top of the hill, just below those palm trees, you can see this old Victorian house. It was used in a movie that came out in 1967, known as The Liver Eaters, or Attack of the Liver Eaters, Cannibal Orgy, or The Maddest Story Ever Told. But ultimately, it became known as Spider Baby.
Dreams and bones and bats and bones and teenage monsters and haunted homes, a ghost on the stair, a vampire's bite, but beware, there's a full moon tonight.
Big fat bug right in my spiderweb. Virginia, are you crazy? You're bad. Bad.
You were not supposed to play spider anymore. Animal spiders creep and crawl, boys and ghouls having a ball. Frankenstein, Dracula, and even the mummy are sure to end up in somebody's tummy.
He's just a big kid.
Yes, it's like you say, sir. We're not very formal here at Mary House.
And the big black spider goes round and round.
Sit round a fire with this cup of brew, a fiend and a werewolf on each side of you. This cannibal orgy is strange to behold, and the maddest story ever told.
Still, all I want to do is make a little sneak cut.
If you've never heard of the movie Spider Baby, you're in for a treat if you decide to watch it. Came out in 1967, directed by Jack Hill, who was an apprentice, so to speak, to Roger Corman, so that should tell you some things. It stars Lon Chaney Jr., mostly known from his role as the Wolfman, who plays a caretaker and chauffeur to 3 orphan siblings who suffer from a very strange disease or syndrome that causes the kids, as they get older, they start to regress, both, well, mentally, physically, and socially. Now, one of the kids is Sid Haig.
And the story itself, it involves the Mary family and a syndrome that is exclusive to this family, in which as they grow older, they start to regress physically and mentally.
If I'm not mistaken, this was one of Sid Haig's first acting roles. And even though he was very young, you can still tell that it's him. He's got those very distinctive eyes. As well as in this movie, just like his later ones, his head was shaved. Now, he was one of the kids. The other 2 kids were these mysterious, strange girls who were played by Beverly Washburn and Jill Banner. Now, like I said, the movie came out in 1967, but it was actually filmed in 1964. But due to a lot of financial issues, as well as some pretty crazy title changes, it wasn't released until the late 60s. And in my opinion, I mean, it's a great movie. I feel it kind of got shafted because of just bad marketing. But the house sits way up here on the hill, on a street known as Elmeo Street. The neighborhood has definitely changed over the years. And if I'm not mistaken, the house is now recognized as a landmark, so it's been restored and sits up here on the hill in Highland Park. Such beauty, man. Now, I can only imagine that a lot of these houses weren't here back in 1964 when they made Spider Baby. Just look at that. Now that is a gorgeous home.
There's a full moon tonight. Spiders creep and crawl, boys and ghouls having a ball. Frankenstein, Dracula, and even the mummy are sure to end up in somebody's tummy.
At the end of the opening credits, we're greeted to a very dark and ominous lesson, if you will. Someone reads from a book known as the Dictionary of Rare and Peculiar Diseases. This is where we first learn about the Mary syndrome that starts at the age of 10 and lasts the entire life of those who are inflicted.
Mary syndrome, so called because its only known occurrence is among the descendants of one Ebenezer Mary, a progressive age regression beginning about the 10th year and continuing steadily throughout the victim's lifetime.
This is also where you find out where it is believed that those who are inflicted eventually, towards the end, regress to this form of savagery or cannibalism.
It is believed that eventually the victim of the Mary syndrome may even regress beyond the prenatal level, reverting to a pre-human condition of savagery and cannibalism.
Incredible, but true.
Incredible, but true.
The next shot we get is of actor Mantan Moreland, who plays the messenger looking for the Mary house.
Can you tell me where the Mary house is? I said the Mary house.
If there is any such place, we don't know anything about it.
And whenever he gets there, whenever he finally finds it, the shot that we get is from right about here. You can see that wraparound porch. Now obviously that giant tree to the left wasn't here, but you see where those rocks are? That's where he would have walked up to the house, and you can see the main staircase right over there to the left. He walks right up those stairs right there and knocks twice on the door. No answer. Now what's really cool, like this is the stuff that I love. The house looks identical. You see that porch post right there? He turns around, he's getting ready to leave, but he has a message to deliver. He grabs hold of that post and nervously, you can hear it in his voice, he asks if anybody's home.
Anybody home? Please say yes, somebody's home.
He walks over to those two windows right there on the porch in the center of your screen. And the one window on the left is open, so he leans in and asks if anybody's home.
Hello in there. Hello?
When Mantan Moreland comes to the house to deliver the summons or the notice or whatever it is that he's delivering, and comes up on the porch and leans into the window, Jack, of course, wanted to get a shot from the interior. We didn't have any power. We couldn't light him. So Al Taylor set up 6 reflectors, bouncing the sun from the front yard up the steps into the entry of the house, down the hall, through one room and into another room to get light on his face, all done with reflectors. That's a guy who knows his stuff.
And as he does this, the window shuts on him, and then we see one of the creepy girls, and she makes it known that she caught him, and he's in for a big sting.
I caught a big fat bug right in my spiderweb. And now the spider gets to give the bug a big sting.
Now in this scene, she's got a knife in each hand and she goes over to him because he's stuck. She starts attacking him and you see his legs on the porch kicking because he's being attacked. An ear falls off onto the floor, and then we're greeted with the other sister who shows up behind her saying, "Are you crazy?"
Virginia, are you crazy? Now look what you've done.
Next we see Lon Chaney Jr., who played the caretaker and the chauffeur, coming home. He sees the messenger's motorcycle and he parks his car over here to the side of the house. Now the building that you're looking at right now is new. This wasn't here whenever they made the movie in 1964. But pay attention to the 3 garages, the little carport there. In the movie, the original building, that building is kind of set up the same exact way. Lon Chaney Jr.'s character's name is Bruno, and after he parks his car, he walks right over here to the front of the house, and you can see those steps again, and he's calling out for the 2 girls, Elizabeth and Virginia, because he's confused, like, why is there a motorcycle abandoned on their property?
Elizabeth! Virginia! Elizabeth!
Now, Elizabeth walks right out the front doors and stops just behind that small palm tree right next to the steps. And she tells Bruno about Virginia, of what she did. She rats on her, and she says, "You should hate her."
Elizabeth!
Bruno, Virginia hurt somebody real bad. You ought to hate her.
Elizabeth, how many times have I told you it's not nice to hate?
And oh yeah, the entire time that this is going on, Sid Haig's character, Ralph, is in the back seat of the car that's parked over by the garage.
Ralph, we're home now.
Now this is just a start of the strange movie that Spider Baby is, and trust me, it's a strange movie indeed. If you have any interest in watching it, you should. Now if you do any kind of searching or any kind of research on this movie, you're going to come across a couple different stills that happened right on this porch. In close-up shots, Bruno sits at the very top step right there on the porch with Elizabeth and Virginia, and he reminds them about what happened where 2 girls hopped the fence and Virginia wanted to play spider with her.
You remember last time when those 2 children climbed over the wall and Virginia almost caught them in her spider web? Mm-hmm. Well, that got people to wondering about us, and that's bad.
And the entire time that this is going on, Ralph, Sid Haig's character, is inspecting the messenger, who again is still hanging out the window.
You never can play spider again. Oh, Ralph, what have you got there?
Something that man had.
Ralph, give it to me. That's it. Thank you, Ralph.
I have to stop this video right here and talk about Lon Chaney Jr. for just a moment. Every time I see his face, I automatically think the Wolfman. Now, Jack Hill, he wanted Lon Chaney Jr. for this part, and he reached out to his agent, Lon Chaney Jr.'s agent, and the money that they were going to offer, it was a very small budget. I think it was like $60,000 or something like that. And they only could afford to pay Lon Chaney Jr. like $2,000, $2,500. Maybe that's higher than what it is, but it was right around there. And Lon Chaney Jr.'s agent said, no, he can't do that. He's too well-known of an actor. So they were going to go with John Carradine. And it turns out that John Carradine's agent is the same as Lon Chaney Jr.'s. So Jack Hill and Company reached out to the agent again and said, hey, we want John Carradine. And they said, you know what? No, never mind. Lon Chaney Jr. said he'll do it. Now what's really cool about this is, yes, actors should get paid for their time on screen. But Lon Chaney Jr. had a reputation for doing roles that he thought that was fun, that was interesting, that was unique. He just wanted to play characters, and he did, and that's how we get Bruno.
How many times do I have to tell you, just because something isn't good doesn't mean it's bad?
I knew that.
Another story I found very interesting in doing research on Spider Baby is Lon Chaney Jr. the man liked to drink. He had a major reputation for always drinking. And when they were making the movie Spider Baby, somebody actually made the comment, wow, I can't believe that Lon Chaney Jr. gave up drinking. He hasn't had a drink the entire time that he was on set, but he sure does love his oranges. And it is thought, it is believed that Lon Chaney Jr. was squeezing all the juice out of the oranges and pumping them full of vodka. Hollywood rumors, you never know. Could be true. I know some of you are watching this video right now and you recognize this house from another pretty famous horror movie, a movie called Insidious Chapter 2. There's also another movie called The Silent Scream, but of course, we're here because of Spider Baby. I'm a big Spider Baby fan.
Spider Baby, as I said previously, and I've said for years, for a film that was basically made on a budget that would have, maybe been something that you'd spend on your mother's birthday, has an amazing following. It just keeps growing. The legions of Spider Babyites. Spider Babyites, whoa. There's a new one for you.
With that being said, thank you for joining us on another Grimm adventure, this time back to 1967 to Jack Hill's Spider Baby with Sid Haig. I mean, come on, we all love Sid Haig. It's still sad that he's gone. Now, if you haven't seen the movie Spider Baby, do yourself a favor and watch it. Enjoy it, because it's a strange tale indeed. Until next time, happy Halloween.
Wherever I come, bad luck is coming my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.